Hey everybody, welcome to the Jazzy Business of Coaching, and I have Shari Jo Watkins today who will be speaking to us about coaching in general, how she got started, and words of advice for those who are starting their journey. All right, so Shari Jo, take it away.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be with you today. It is a pleasure. I always love helping people, and it's definitely, a joy. It's been a journey, but it's been a fun journey, and and if anybody that I can help, I definitely want to be able to do that. So one of the things that you asked me was how I got started, right?
Right.
Okay, so for me, making the transition to coaching, it was never something that I intended on doing, but it kind of happened because I spent a lot of years in restaurant management, in food and beverage, and then in healthcare. And I reached a point where I always coached people, and I didn't realize that I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I had people tell me you should be a motivational speaker, and I was like, yeah, I talk a lot, and and I didn't realize at first, how much I really was impacting people. But there came a point in time where I also realized that I could no longer make the impact that I was supposed to be making from sitting behind a desk worrying about whether or not somebody had a penalty because of Medicare, Medicare problems or whatever. And so, for me, it was a matter of saying, okay, I need to make a new plan. I need to be able to step out and do my thing. But it wasn't something that I could just jump right off the cliff and do immediately. I had to put some steps in place. So over the course of about 6 years, I started keeping track of the things that I was teaching people, keeping track of, the challenges that I had gone through, and just compiling a lot of information so that I could be able to have something valuable to share, right?
Okay.
I've never been accused of being short on words. Being able to talk to people was never a challenge for me.
So,
In fact, I probably spent most of my life around it because I talk
mm.
too much.
So what was your first gig like?
Oh, well, my very first gig, as far as from coaching or from motivational speaking, which one?
Whichever one came first.
Okay, so my first motivational speaking thing, I put on myself actually. Um, I knew that I wanted to. I wanted to get on stage. I had this thing deep down inside me, like Les Brown is kind of like my hero, right? And so I listened to everything that he had for the longest time. And there was a story that he tells often that talks about Mr. Washington, and he said I told him I'm the one. So every day or every week for 3 years now, I've been sending him an email and saying, listen, you might have been the one, but I'm next. you know so I went to all these Get Motivated and things like that, and I wanted to do something similar. So I reached out to a couple of different people, and we put together our own little mini speaking bureau as well. So I wasn't invited on the big stage right away. I kind
Hmm.
of made my own way, just because it was easier for me to kind of go through that process on my own and learn. The first time wasn't the best time. I thought that I was going to just like wing right through it, and I stumbled along a little bit here and there. Our video didn't work the best. Some of the audio wasn't the greatest. But I learned from it,
Hmm.
and from there, I was able to get snippets and then, kind of grow, from that angle. Okay.
Okay.
From a coaching standpoint, I was horrible when I first got started, um, because I didn't realize that not everybody was like me, you know,
Right.
and not everybody wanted what I had, you know.
Surprise. Sure. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is on your website, you have three areas of your practice. One is the speaking to the adults, and then you have a student section, which is quite interesting. And then you also have your software. Regarding the students, how did you get started with that? And did you find it challenging? Because that is pretty unique.
And so really it wasn't that much of a challenge for me because I think inherently inside me I'm still 12. you know? um, and I just know that that this next generation, the people that are coming up behind us, it's up to us to make sure that they're well equipped to be able to, to handle the world as it changes and become the next set of leaders. So, when I step back and I say, okay, well, what can I do to help you be able to recognize that the things that you love aren't necessarily bad just because they're different. Sometimes you find kids that they end up doing what their friends do, or they're afraid to say this is what I enjoy, and that it's painful to watch. But I knew that just being able to have that connection easily, I knew that I was meant to share more with those young adults and children as well. And it's an incredible thing when you watch that light bulb go off.
Hmm.
It just makes you want to do it more.
Okay. So I'm focusing a little bit more on the students because that is the younger generation, and uh, like you said, they're more apart now because of the technology, and they're not
Yes.
interacting with people. What are some of the tips that you give them in order to uh, do what they dream of doing, or to come out of that expectations from parents? I can relate to what you said. It's like you have so many expectations. I went to medical school for like the first year, and then I finally had the uh, courage to say, okay, I don't want to do this, I want to do something else. So
Right.
I'll go through 4 years of college and then 1 year of medical school, and then saying, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. So that's like 5 years wasted.
Right.
uh, uh, and then coming into your own and deciding what it is that you want to pursue. So what do you tell students, and how do you encourage them?
Okay, so one of the first things that I have young adults and children do is, we get out a little notebook, right, and we write down our heart's desires, right, and those things could change. They could change because I mean sometimes, like, I thought 12 years ago I knew exactly what I was going to do for the rest of my life, but it changes all the time. And so we write down, what are your heart's desires? What is it that makes you happy? What makes you smile? And when you see it, what makes you want to think about, how do I know more about that? And from there, we began creating a roadmap, right? And ultimately, in business, we talk about SMART goals, and we talk about that a lot. But to a child, SMART goals mean nothing unless you can actually put a visual image for them. So I'll do things like, I'll say, okay, let's imagine we're taking a trip from Ohio to California, right?
Hmm.
Are you going to get in the car and just drive? Are you going to to just go, okay, I'm going to get from here to here? I remember when I was a child, I didn't understand, like, I live in Ohio, my office is in Pittsburgh, but I actually thought that when I saw a sign that said Columbus 2 miles, that meant it was 2 miles away, not that it was 2 miles to the exit, right? And so we have a different mindset of attention span, and with videos and imaging and things like that, it's tough to recognize what's really involved in getting from point A to point B. So we talk about, okay, where there's a couple of roads across the country, it can take you straight there, right? But chances are, when you start along that journey, you're going to find a detour. You're going to have some roads closed, and that's fine if you want to just, follow the directions and follow the path that somebody lays out for you. But if you plan ahead and think about, okay, what can I see along the way, right?
Hmm.
I say put yourself in the passenger seat instead of the driver's seat. When you're driving to work every day, you're focused on the road and the cars in front of you. But on the passenger side, you're going to be able to see the trees, and you're going to be able to see the river, and you're going to be able to see the mountains, and all these different things that could actually give you pieces that you are going to need later on in life, right?
Hmm.
And so as we chunk up our journey, we think about, okay, well, what can I take from every step along the way, right? That's what mile markers are for. That's why we have road signs, so we know, are we close or are we off track? And,
Okay.
and then learning to know that, okay, we might want to get from here to here, but it's not going to look like that. What it's really going to look like is this. Okay. It's, it's really going to look like all that. So you can be mad about that, that you're not getting from point A to point B just like that. Or you can say, all right, what can I see along the way? Right. And so I'll tell stories. And this is a funny story. Like I have a technology division of my company, right?
Yeah.
And I never ever liked computers most of my life. I didn't even play video games as a kid because they made me nervous. I'm a little bit high strung, you might have noticed. So I'm a little bit high strung, so I didn't like them at all.
Yeah.
But when I was in restaurant management, I had to learn how to make menus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I had to go to Kinko's and do this old, cut and paste from clip art and all that kind of stuff. And somewhere along the way, I realized that I either wanted that life or I wanted a different life. And it happened for me when I had an assistant manager who passed away, and they chose not to replace him. So I was working from like 7 in the morning until 2 in the morning, and I was only like 25 years old. And I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do it anymore. So what do I do next, right? And I'm a firm believer in sometimes you just have to jump and know that you're
Mm-hmm.
going to fly. If you're willing to put in the effort and you're willing to see what's around you and make the most of it, then chances are you're going to fly, right? So I signed up with a temp agency, and they tried to send me to a company in Columbus that did electronic data interchange, EDI, which is how we do purchase orders, invoicing, medical claims, and all that kind of stuff now. And I was like, no, 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 I hate computers. I don't want to do that. And so the next week I called them and I said, you have anything for me? And they're like, no, we have that same job we had last week. I'm like, no, 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 I don't want that. And that went on for several weeks until finally I was broke. And I was like, okay, I'll take the job and I'll start tomorrow.
Okay.
And, so I took it, and what I had to do was I had to enter in data 3 different ways because 3 different departments wanted it in 3 different formats. And at that point in my life, I didn't even know how to type because, it wasn't required to take typing in high school. I was going
Mhm.
to be pre-med and I was never going to be anybody's secretary. So I didn't do it, you know? So, so when my boss went on vacation, I, I said, okay, I talked to a friend in development and said, I need you to give me something that I can break and rebuild so that I don't have to do this the same way. And by the time my boss came back from vacation, I had built an access database that I could export data to different programs. And from there, I was allowed to go to any class that I wanted. So, long story short, I still really didn't, that wasn't my life dream, right? But 12 years later, I was able to save a nonprofit home health agency from bankruptcy because they had gone through all of their savings because nobody knew how to bill electronically, right? And
Hmm.
if I wasn't willing to be fully present and take advantage of that one opportunity and every piece of information that they gave me back then, just because it was there for me and available to me, I wouldn't have been able to do that, right? So we take technology for granted now, right? And if I had every piece of technology at my fingertips and every piece of information available that I could possibly want my entire life, I would think differently too. But we take that for granted. So sometimes I think that it's a matter of storytelling and sharing those times when it didn't work for you at all, and then how you came out of it,
Mhm.
you know.
So now, within your business, how much technology do you have? I mean, with coaching, we always think it's just, you just have to be present and you start talking. So, what portions of your business are you excited about, or what portions of the business within the coaching aspect that you don't like and you would rather have somebody else do?
Okay, so I would definitely rather have somebody else do the paperwork. Um, and I would definitely rather have somebody else do billing and stuff like that because I don't like sitting behind my desk very much.
Okay.
I would much rather be that, that interaction kind of person. Um, but for me, technology plays a huge part in it at this point. So what happened was, as a speaker, I had a friend who was building apps, and I had him build me an app in trade, because he was brilliant, but he looked like he was 12. So nobody took him seriously. So I did some coaching for him to be able to, get business professionals to take him a little bit more seriously. And in turn, he built me an app. Well, I'm that, I've always been that person that if you give me a toy, I have to take it apart because I need to know how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So, once I had my own app, he built the shell, and I put on all the information. I got to thinking, well, wait a minute, if I can do this with it, why can't I do that? And if I can do this with it, why can't I do that? So it was kind of a natural progression to begin building, for me, engagement apps, because we have a lot of people in business that are still trying to fight keeping phones out of people's hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not going to happen. It's always going to be there. They're always going to be using them. So the key is to find a way to make that technology and the tools that they already have that they like using to work for you, right? So, so it was a natural progression to develop that technology division of, which is EPC 360, and that's the technology division of Elite Pro Coaching. So they kind of go hand in hand. And when I'm, I can build you an app for, just because you want an app for your restaurant or things like that. But I'm never going to suggest to somebody that it just be for your consumers, right? I'm always going to suggest that there's group management where you build custom forms on the back end, for your team members to use so that they have the same buy-in and are using the same tools that your clients are using. Because when they're doing it on their own tools that they're comfortable with, there's a different level of accountability, right? And a different level of excitement because now it's theirs too. So yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of fun. It's really fun, actually.
So the app is specifically for who? Is it for restaurants? Because you mentioned loyalty program
Right.
is in there, but then who else can use that?
Well, really anybody. I actually believe that there is not a single business out there that could not benefit from having their own app. Okay.
So
Whether like,
coaches can deliver their, like daily update
yes,
or something like that?
yes, absolutely. Like you can do
Okay.
push notifications. I work
Okay.
with a personal trainer, so he sends out regular push notifications to his clients. Don't forget to drink your water today. Have you taken your images? For loyalty rewards are super cool because people think about loyalty rewards for restaurants, okay?
Right.
But if you're somebody that's trying to build your business, okay, let's say it's a construction company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for a construction company, you want to be able to get referrals because word of mouth is the most powerful thing, right? Well, so for one company, we built a program within his app where his team members can, they can have, custom forms that they're signing off. This is what we did. Client signs off on it as well, with custom signatures on their, just with their fingertip. They send it off and it goes right back to the office. Those lost receipts go, you take a picture of it, it goes right to the office immediately, and he's not chasing down receipts, right? But then for his loyalty program, it's called Handyman Bonus Bucks, right? It's get your honeydew list done for free. So for every 3 referrals you give him, he gives you $200 in Handyman Bonus Bucks, right? And for a small business, you think $200 in free business, free work, that's a lot. It's not. Not when you think that for those 3 clients that he got, you probably got a kitchen, you probably got a deck, you probably got, a new bathroom out of it. And chances are when he gets to that home where he's doing that free work, he's probably going to get another job as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it allows people to help you do your marketing for you, which is cool.
Okay.
And then we just actually created a new one that's called Loyalty Lovers, and it's specifically only loyalty rewards. So it's like mini apps for everybody, and we're rolling that out nationwide this week, actually.
Nice.
Yeah,
Exciting.
yeah, it is.
All right. So any service business or restaurants even can use
Yes.
that app then. Okay.
Yeah.
All
When
right.
I was a healthcare manager, so like this one company that I was helping just kind of revamp themselves, they had 4 divisions. They had home health, they had in-home care, they had medical staffing, and then an administrative end as well. So with custom programming and group management, we were able to put in specific phone books, right? So that the therapists could talk to the nurses without having to contact the office. But the public didn't need to know the phone numbers of all the team members, so they had a separate phone book, right? And so you only give access to the pieces that that different groups need or require to do what's necessary. Now, the other cool thing about that from a leadership perspective, and this is where the coaching aspect comes back in and using an app. If I'm stuck in traffic, right, I have time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that we talk on our phone when we're stuck in traffic for hands-free, of course, hands-free, no texting. And so I'm going to be more likely to call up a team member because I have one-touch access to their phone numbers and say, hey, Judy, you know what? I don't need anything from you. I just wanted to call and see how can I help you be more successful, right? Or, hey, Bob, you're coming up on 30 days with the organization. We all know that first 30 days are the most critical, and that turnover is your biggest cost, right? So, from a leadership perspective, if I can spend a few extra minutes here and there because I have instant access to that information, making sure that my team knows that I care, then chances are that's going to keep them a little bit longer. That's going to help them know that they really matter. And then from another aspect, obviously as leaders and businesses, you have to hold people accountable, and not everybody leaves happy. It is what it is. But when you have all of your information in an app, people are less likely to save it in their own phones because they already have instant access to it. So you have less occurrences of, people kind of spoiling a bunch of apples, just because they're mad about something,
Right.
There really is, the possibilities are limitless. And I always say, if you give me any industry, and within 10 seconds, I can give you 5 reasons why it will help you,
All right. So should I give you like a life coach and come up with the 10 reasons why they need to use the app?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. So let's jump over to your other project, the book that you have.
Yes.
It's
Quit whining and do something different. Yes.
Okay.
So quit whining and do something different. It's a quick, easy read. First of all, it's just a bunch of short stories. It is 50 things that you can do any day, every day, all day, to look at things differently. The title is a little bit harsh, but it was meant to just kind of grab your attention. But realistically, that's it. We spend so much time focusing on what's wrong that we forget to notice what's right, or how we can look at things differently. So it has things like
how did you get started on that one? I'm just curious.
Well, I'm a queen of storytellers, and when I was as I was growing as a leader, because I wasn't always a great leader. The first few times I was a manager, I sucked so bad because I could not grasp why people didn't want to work as hard as me, why they just didn't get it as quickly as I did, and so I learned some lessons the hard way for sure. But I spent a lot of time reading, and I would take a motivational quote and then I would build upon it to explain how those things can be beneficial for yourself. So throughout the course of my professional career, I just had a whole bunch of these little things,
Okay.
and I decided, it's time to put them all in one place. So every single thing in the book is comes from a personal perspective of what actually happened and how I did it differently, and how maybe you can too,
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So like one of the things in the book is like one of the chapters, I think it's maybe chapter 4 or something like that, is be accountable to yourself first, right? So you look at me and I'm like this bundle of joy, right? But I don't always wake up this way every single day. Sometimes before I leave the house, my husband and I have terrible arguments. I win them all, because I'm in the shower by myself and he's not even awake yet, right? And I'm having that argument all by myself of, why isn't the toothpaste lid on? Well, why are the dishes in the sink? All those kinds of little things like that. So on those days, see, I don't want people to see me in that negative piece. That's not who I am, and that's not who I want to be. So I have to be accountable to myself to make sure that by the time I get where I'm going, that I am who I claim to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's this little store around the house, around the corner from my house, called The Special Way. And there's a bunch of old guys that go there every day for coffee in the morning. And they think that I'm the happiest, bubbliest person on the face of the earth. Okay. So on those days that I don't feel like being that person, I go there first because I have to put my smile on. I got to put my bounce in my step before I get out of the car. Now, what happens is by the time I leave there, I feel better. And even though I might have made them laugh or made them smile, they helped me be the person that I know that I should be. Okay. So, I place myself in situations that make me be accountable to myself. It's all little things like that.
Okay, nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions and then we can wrap this up.
Okay.
Final word of advice if we're starting out as a coach, because I'm going to go back to my personal experience. I started off, like I said, in science, and then I ended up in technology, and now I'm managing teams, and I'm going, okay, well, coaching and consulting is kind of where I want to go, but I'm not there yet, so. Okay. Doing this podcast is one of the ways I want to get there, because I want to absorb as much as I can first, and then have the courage to take that next step. So what would you suggest?
Well, the first suggestion that I would make is this, okay? And it was the hardest thing for me as a coach to learn and be okay with. And not gonna lie, sometimes it's still hard because when you set off on that journey of wanting to help people, you can often kind of see through things that maybe they can't. But not everybody has the same dream that you have, So recognizing that my dream is my dream and not necessarily everybody else's was a hard thing, Also, I had to recognize that, as I grew and as I began doing different things, my circle was going to change. Right. Right. My circle was definitely gonna change. So, it was tough being able to recognize that not everybody wanted my help. Okay. And
they don't know what they're missing.
I know, that's what I thought. Not everybody wanted my help. And my way isn't always the best way. And I had to learn how to do more listening than talking. Okay. Which was a challenge for me at first,
Right.
It was. Piece of advice: do not give up, right? Keep growing, okay. Keep educating yourself. If you think that I've got this perfect coaching program, and if you just follow these 12 steps, it's going to be perfect and you're going to make millions of dollars. Yeah, go ahead, try that. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't work that way. Maybe if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in, all this marketing right up front to be able to have people buy this click funnel and go through this and go through that. I didn't take that route, I don't know if I ever will, to be honest with you. I learned a lot of things the hard way. I made a lot of mistakes and I still make mistakes. So every day I have to go back and say, okay, what could I have done differently in that conversation, right? What can I learn now based upon the challenges that, John Smith is having so that I can help him? I think as a coach, one of the best things we can do is be that genius that they expect us to be. And the only way you can do that is continually learn.
All right. I agree with that. All right. One last question. So more of tech related, because this is like my fire away questions.
Right.
So if you were to have just 3 softwares to run your business right now and nothing else, what would those be? Because remember, I'm coming from a tech background as well, so softwares is what I'm focused on, and that's the question I want to ask pretty much all the coaches and consultants. What are the 3 softwares that they can't live without?
Oh gosh. Okay. So now in today's environment with the whole COVID-19 thing going on, for me, I've always been a firm believer in video conferencing. I love video conferencing. If I can't be with you face to face, I still want to see you face to face. So either Zoom or GoToMeeting, definitely one of those two.
Gotcha.
Another one is still Microsoft Office for me. It gives you because you have access to to Teams. You have access to PowerPoint, where you can export anything. You can actually create videos in PowerPoint. If you don't have video software, you can do pretty much anything if you just learn how to use those tools effectively. Okay. And the third piece for me is Photoshop. Only because I like to make graphics and things like that. I create all of my stuff. Now, for other people, it might not be that, okay? For me, it is that. But I would say the other piece of technology is learn everything that you can about your phone, period.
It's already on the phone.
Yes, learn everything that you can about your phone. Our phones do so much more for you than we realize if we take the time to learn everything that it can do for you.
Yeah, true. All right. Well, thank you very much, Shari Jo, and I appreciate you coming on my first podcast episode.
Yay.
And I'm really excited about this one.
Absolutely. Tell everybody what the name of your podcast is again.
Okay, it's the Jazzy Business of Coaching.
Nice. Jazzy, I love it. Jazzy Business of Coaching, like it makes you want to dance.
It was like the business of coaching is what I was thinking. I'm like, well, the company is Jazzy Marketing, so I'm like, well, Jazzy Business of Coaching.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me, and I wish you all the success. Please keep in touch with me.
All right.
If I can help you any way, I will. Please know that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shari Jo.